You're tuning in to the Black Hollywood Live Network, featuring news, interviews, and commentary on all things Black Hollywood. Hollywood redefined. From Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is Black Hollywood Live, Geek.Nerd.Tech, featuring a weekly roundup of tech news and gossip. Black Hollywood Live, Hollywood redefined.
You're listening to Black Hollywood Live.
And now, the host for Black Hollywood Live, Geek.Nerd.Tech.
Welcome to Geek.Nerd.Tech, last show of the year. The show we break down nerd culture, tech news from a black and brown geek perspective. As always, I'm Joe Braswell. I'm joined by my man Akili Shine, who's sipping on something. What you sipping on, Akili?
Man, I'm sipping on a little juice.
Juice?
No, we got the champagne pop, man, to celebrate, a year of shows.
Yes.
And I'm bringing in the new year, man.
Yes. Well, it's good to see you. And, I can't shout out Steve Lemieux because he's not on his mic. But he'll get back in there. There he is. Alexis is not with us. We got our man Steve Lemieux in the booth on the ones and twos. Lots to discuss here. We said last week that was going to be our last show. We decided we wanted to squeeze one more in because we could. Yeah. So here we are. Let me just jump into it a little bit. We'll talk about the Sony hack because there's a lot to talk about the whole Sony situation. There's a lot to talk about. Sort of best of gaming of 2014. Some of the movies of 2015 coming. For sure. Award season coming up. So we'll get into that. But before that, let's get into some tech news. There's a story that I really love talking about the future of human computer interaction. Yeah. And this is something that I touched on what we saw back in CES a year ago when we did we saw a lot of this sort of augmented sort of non-touching computer interaction stuff on some real Minority Report stuff, right? Remember the keyboard that was like a hologram projected keyboard, and you're typing in the air and you're swiping stuff around. I have Xbox One. I can talk to it. I can move it around. I can use it for my Google Glass, for my smart glass on my phone or my tablet. This is the future. What are they talking about?
I mean, I think you're hitting it right on the head. There's blurred lines in between what's reality and what's visual, what's virtual rather. In terms of the computer being able to, have hearing or even now have sight. They're developing these microchips in the computers where they can have 3D vision, right? So they can look at you and tell your emotions, and give suggestions to make you feel a certain way. Well, if you're feeling sad today, how about you have this? So I think futurists, when they kind of theorize of what they think that the future is going to be like, and we see it in the movies, we're starting to see that in the present, in reality. And so I think as the technology expands and Moore's law and the processors become cheaper to make, and you put more stuff on them, we'll begin to see computers that have higher sophistication, and that's what it is.
We're getting closer and closer to that cybernet. Was it cyber? Is it cybernet?
You're talking about Terminator?
Yeah. Skynet. God, look at me, the ultimate nerd, forgetting about Skynet. No, this is it. But one of the things, my favorite things about Minority Report, I go back and we talk about this all the time, is that Spielberg, for that movie, got some of the top futurists and scientists and all the top minds of the time, locked them in a hotel room in Santa Monica for 3 or 4 days, and just said, here, you guys just come up with what you think the future is going to look like at this time. And I gotta say, half the stuff they came up with is already here.
Crazy.
Which is crazy. It's really later on here. So it's really interesting to see all this stuff. And I will say, back to the Xbox One, I walk in the room and, hello, Brazmataz. Brazmataz is my tagger name. It's kind of a whack name, but it's Brazmataz. Hello, Brazmataz. Hello, and it's when I walk in the room, it says hello to me.
It's tight.
When I want to change, it's like the holodeck. It's like Picard, sorry, Kirk. When Kirk, Captain Kirk, is like, computer. Right. That's, I'm like, Xbox, turn to.
It says in
ESPN.
It says in this article, the quote is, "We don't want to make just a personal computer, but rather a personable computer." a computer that interacts with you and engages with you like a human.
It knows what I like. It knows what I'm doing. It knows what games I'm playing. It knows what channels I want to watch. Like it's crazy. Anyway,
super crazy.
So moving on. There's more. Let's move on to the future of cable, because there's a lot of these new sort of like every individual network now is coming up with its own system to be able to have people pay for that, like, you know, it's called closed knit system, if you will.
There's different business models.
Yeah, so like HBO is coming out with one in 2015 or 16, I believe. I think it's 2015, which is Beyond HBO Go, which allows you to not be, you don't have to be a subscriber of HBO to have it.
Right.
CBS just launched one, you know, for $6 a month.
Yep.
You can get all CBS programming anytime you want, including all old school stuff. So if you want to go back and watch like the Jeffersons or Good Times or any old stuff, you can do that. That's for $6 a month. This seems to be the future.
It's the future.
So all these networks, it's a revenue stream for these networks.
For sure.
You know, B, they can add their entire back catalog, which is what I'm interested in. I may just want to watch Good Times all day. You know,
I think it speaks to the consumer's power too, because you look at music, like consumers don't buy full albums anymore. They buy singles, or they pick the songs that they want. And I think it's the same thing with television as a different medium. They don't want to watch, you know, what's being, you know, promoted to them. They want to be able to decide, have the power to decide what they watch. And so even in terms of what they're paying as a subscription, like why am I paying $70 a month for cable for all these channels that I'll never watch, when I could just, you know, I could subsidize that into like $10-20 a month and just get all the things that I like, that I'm interested in. So that's kind of like what these cable companies and these new companies are starting to think, like, okay, well, how can we better serve the consumer?
Yeah, so. And it's so. But the question is like the keystone of all cable right now, the keystone of all ad money, the top dollar is live stuff, predominantly sports. So what's going to happen to sports in this new world of cutting the cable? Because it's all about trying to cut the cable.
Right.
So what's going to happen to sports? What's going to happen to ESPNs of the world? What's going to happen to live events?
Yep.
Because you can't DVR a live event. You can't, like, you know, subscribe. Although CBS does March Madness, you know, you can get all your March Madness stuff from your phones anywhere. Sure. I know I have a Red Zone, which I can get most of my games from my phone. I think
you're answering the question.
I know that NFL tickets coming like that. Yeah. MLB already does this.
NBA already does it.
NBA already does this. So what do you think? Because, you know,
I mean, I think exactly that. Like, if you want to watch your favorite team or your favorite sport, download the app. Watch it on your tablet. Watch it on your computer. Like, you don't have to watch it through the same traditional medium.
What do you think? This will be something that will be controlled by each league, like the NBA, NHL, and MLB will have their own thing, or will it be per team? Like, if I want to watch Sacramento Kings, I got to pay
you'll definitely
$20 a month for Sacramento Kings.
Per league, because they want to, you know, of course, monetize all that.
Okay.
So
we'll see. It's interesting. This is something I want to keep our eye on. We'll see how this ends up in 2015. Switching to,
well, before you switch, like, just a personal question, like, do you watch more cable television, network television, or more stream television?
I consume most of my stuff on DVR, so it's cable. But I never, I don't, with the exception of maybe the occasional Jimmy Fallon, and even then, I can't think of anything aside for Sundays on sports or basketball that I'm watching live. So sports is the only thing, and Peter Pan, of course. Kidding. No, but like, I didn't miss Peter Pan live. No, but really the only thing that I'm really watching live is, I mean, the Grammys, or even you know, the
any event based
Oscars, award seasons coming up. I watch all that stuff, and actually I even tape some of that stuff. Some of that stuff I tape.
But I'm saying in totality, most of what you watch is something that's recorded, or is it like, is it Netflix
50-50.
or is it like?
It's 50-50, like, between my devices like HBO Go, and I mean, I have all, I subscribe to every HBO, Showtime, all of it. I don't watch any of it. I watch it all on my devices. I watch all my HBO stuff on HBO Go.
Right.
Showtime anytime, all my stuff there. Stars Play, like Cinemax, Max Go. Like, that's how I'm consuming all of my stuff.
And did you know that starting in January, Black Hollywood Live shows are going to be seen live on YouTube. So those are some events that you can watch live and comment live. And go ahead and comment now if you're going to be watching them, because all the posts are made. So go to youtube.com/Black Hollywood Live and check out all the upcoming events we have. Friday, January 9th is when we're going to be streaming all of them live.
There it is.
There it is. Thank you, Lemieux.
1/9/2015.
But that's not on my cable. That's going to be on YouTube.
For sure,
So again, yeah, I think that as the years go by, I will be consuming more and more things on my computer and tablet, and on my television, which is a nice television, but still through these same devices. I watch YouTube on my television.
Okay. Last question before we move on. So if you had $70 for your entertainment needs,
which I don't,
through your television,
go ahead. No.
Like, are you gonna buy the cable package, or are you gonna buy the Netflix, the HBO Goes?
I don't. You know, this is an interesting question because I have a AT&T Uverse right now, which I love, and I just have the 450 package. I don't even think about it. I just have it. I know Uverse and DirecTV merged, so this is the thing. I don't know if I want the dish, so I don't know what I'm going to do, actually. I haven't thought about that. I didn't think about that, because I got to do the math. I feel like that. I can't imagine not having some sort of, like, I have Apple TV. I have it all. We have everything, but it's like, I don't, I have the Xbox, all the apps. I got the Apple TV with all the apps. My Samsung TV's got all the apps. My Samsung Blu-ray's got all the apps.
Right.
So I don't, I have everything, but I still got my Uverse 450, which is kind of useless, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. It's a good question.
We'll see how it evolves, right? I asked that question because
what about you?
I have the same challenge. Like, to be honest, most of the stuff I watch is either recorded or it's movie based. Like, I watch a lot of sports, but that's pretty much the only thing I watch is sports that's live. Everything else is like recorded or something I'm going to stream. So, like, in terms of like the investment, I feel like I'm paying cable for stuff I don't even watch. I don't watch hardly any of those shows live. Yeah. So it's like, what's the point?
It's very interesting. I wonder about that, because I'm a guy who I consume everything. So I buy it. Like, I have every device. I have everything because I want to have every device. But do I use every device to its full capacity? I have a tablet and a phone and a computer and a this and a that and a that. And I can get it all any way I want to. But I choose to just sort of sit there on my couch. So I don't know. Maybe I'm not being smart about this.
Hey, man.
I know. What do you do? What do you do, Steve?
What do you mean? What do I do?
I mean, how do you consume your media mostly? Do you watch? Do you DVR? Do you online? Apps?
I don't know if I should answer that.
Are you a pirate?
It's definitely a combination of Netflix and just solarmovie.so.
Got it. He's taking lots of trips to England.
Yeah,
lots of trips, to abroad.
Nobody got time for cable when you can barely pay rent.
I got you. Okay, so moving on. Speaking of paying, let's talk about this 10-year-old Apple lawsuit. That it's a sort of class action suit over all the iTunes updates.
Yeah.
Apple wins. What is this? What is the nature of the suit? Do you know?
Nature of the suit is essentially that a group of people wanted to sue Apple because they thought the update that they put out was to secure a monopoly over digital media, especially specifically music through iTunes. They thought that the software update locked their device where they could only download music from one source.
Oh, I get it. So before 2006, it was more of an open source situation where you can come in and you can get MP3s from whatever source. After 2006, they made the iPods so you could only get stuff from iTunes.
Well, that's what they're arguing, but the case, obviously, Apple actually won the argument saying that that's not true. So. Yeah, had they lost, they would have had to pay $350 million in damages.
Right.
And because they would have violated the antitrust law. And pretty much that law says that it has to be, the user experience has to be open to every possibility. You can't just streamline one thing. So.
Right. Interesting. I think I know. I think I was always able to figure out how to get all MP3s or MP4s on my iPod. But I haven't had an iPod since.
Man, I can't even tell you when I had an iPod.
I mean, 2006, I didn't have an iPod. So anyway, I get this out. So Apple wins again. Yay for Apple. Let's we can move on from that one. I lost my thing. I'm sorry here. Next is the
cereal.
Thing. Oh, cereal. Thank you. Cereal is I feel like I'm just beating a dead horse, because all the media I'm consuming, be it 1,000 think pieces or 1,000 podcasts and blog posts and mainstream articles in like Entertainment Weekly talking about cereal, and there's even a Funny or Die sketch about cereal. For those who don't know, Cereal is actually a podcast from the team that brought you This American Life. Ira Glass and those folks. It's a longtime writer slash This American Life producer named Sarah Koenig, and she does this. It's basically telling one story over the course of 12 episodes. This American Life is more of a magazine style show. They tell multiple stories in one episode. Award-winning, excellent, fantastic show. One of my favorites, if not my favorite podcast, aside from this one. But Serial has this really sort of revolutionary idea to say we're going to tell one story over 12 episodes. And the story they told is dealing with this murder that's about a 12-year-old murder that happened with some high school kids out in Baltimore. And it's a very interesting story of whether or not this kid, Anon, who's in jail now, serving for the murder of his girlfriend, he's always maintained his innocence. They tell the story of how, what happened, what they think happened, the doubts of the case, and the thing is unfolded. I'm telling you because you haven't seen it,
right,
or listened to it.
Yeah.
It unfolds into this amazing story, and you listen to it, and within every episode, you're like, he did it.
Right.
Then you're like, oh, wait a minute, he didn't do it. He did it.
So they do a good job of building the drama, the structure of the narrative allows for the tension. Well,
not that because it's not laid out. I mean, she researched for a year, but she didn't record elements of this. The show ended yesterday.
Right.
The last elements of the show that she recorded yesterday, she just got some information like 2 days ago.
Wow.
So it was down to the wire.
Wow.
Now she's not trying to solve the case per se, but the way she's laying it out is great. And what's neat about it is you hear from all these people people she's interviewing. She talks to Anon on the phone all the time, recording all the conversations. Dude's in jail, talks to all the people involved in the story, and then tells her version of it. It's really, it's kind of like a Law and Order come to life, but really meets one of those horrible sort of Dateline investigates.
So it's like a documentary, has documentary elements, and then it has like a drama structure element to it.
Yeah, so there's a documentary about 10 years ago called The Staircase that was really, really good. It was very similar to this. It's kind of like in that fashion. Now, the reason why this is sort of breaking while we're talking about this now is it's really actually known as will probably go down as the podcast actually put podcasts on the map.
I mean, it's the #1 podcast.
Well, it's the fastest podcast to 5 million downloads.
It's crazy
ever, but forget about that. We all live in the podcast world. Podcasts are, we feel in our world podcasts are ubiquitous, but podcasts are not. People still don't know about podcasts. Like, I don't have a computer. I don't know how it works. But this is the first thing that sort of spills over into mainstream media. So, like I said, Entertainment Weekly are covering it. Funny or Not, other people are actually covering it outside of the computer world. The Reddit community's blown up over it. Places like Vulture and BuzzFeed and all those folks are going nuts, of course. But what's really interesting about this whole thing is just that how the voracious sort of it's a podcast that spawned a bunch of after shows. So we do after shows at our sister station AfterBuzz. This podcast has a bunch of at least 3 podcasts.
And they sit around and dissect each episode?
After the podcast, there's a podcast talk about the podcast.
That's interesting.
Now, I would think that's ridiculous if I didn't do 5 of those for AfterBuzz and like it. But anyway, I think what's cool about it too is you can binge it. It's all up now. It's 12 episodes. You can binge it. It's really, really, it does a lot for storytelling, a lot for podcasts. And I think recommend it.
I think that's the key point. To think now that you can consume something that's in audio form, just in audio form, and consume it episodically, and it's that interesting, and it brings you back. I think that's cool.
About 10 hours, 12 episodes, about 10 hours.
That's cool though.
Yeah, it's very cool.
I mean, 'cause I can't put myself in a setting where I listen to 12 episodes, or to, as you say, binge listen to it.
Well, it's an interesting effect because the way it affects people, because as you're listening to it, like I said, you go back and forth whether, you think the person did it or didn't do it. But there's been studies shown when you give someone information in a very short amount of time, like if I were to tell you a story about that whole case and I took 30 minutes to do it, or 5 minutes to do it, let's say, you would be able to form your opinion like that.
Right.
But if I did 5 minutes every day for a week, you might be like, I don't know what happened. So it's interesting. Some people who actually binge it are very much like, this happened, versus people who listen week to week
and ponder,
and then go on Reddit and then go on all the websites and then go on and look everything up and Google everything and then come back and be like, it's really interesting. It's kind of been a fun experience.
I wonder if that's a throwback to the early days of radio, where people would listen to radio and listen to it because the people were telling stories. And I don't know the history of it as well as I should, but I don't know if it was broken down episodically back then, where they would tell stories week to week or day to day, and you would have to tune in to catch up to the story. But it sounds like it's like the early days.
You'd have like the old science fiction radio shows.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
like Dimension X.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
Wow.
That's it. And those were called, gentlemen, serials.
Serials.
So that's the whole thing. So that is the thing. It's really interesting. So really new waves as we're telling stories. So that's that.
It's very cool.
Next, more and more prosthetic thoughts. We've done a lot of stories on prosthetic limbs and arms, and we did the one last week of the people who sort of able to 3D print their own prosthetic arms,
right?
And prosthetic hands, which is cool. We did some other stories. There's this new story of this guy who's actually able to actually control his arms with his brain.
That's crazy.
And this is really on some Terminator 2-ish right here.
Yeah, he's a double amputee.
You managed to find like the most terrifying photo of this guy, though.
Like he's gonna get me,
man.
Like,
kind of.
He's the one who did it in Serial. Forget Anon. Maybe he did it.
He's a double amputee. Lost his arms in an electrical accident, and exactly what you said. He's able to control his arms with his brain. And what he's been trying to do is put a quarter into a soda machine and be able to pick up the soda, all with using his mind.
Right. And
like that's something that he's building up to in stages. But I think this is fascinating because, I mean, like he's not able to take the prosthetics out of the laboratory yet. Mm-hmm. But like when they finally fine tune it to the point where he can actually use it in real world situations and scenarios, I think it'll be amazing. Like to have this technology, like here, like I lost my arms or I lost my leg, and all I have to do is think, hey, pick that up or throw a ball or whatever, and it does that. I don't know how it works, but
well, I have a bit of a technical question for you. Do you think with those two prosthetic arms, he could do better sit-ups?
Stop it! I saw it. Could do better sit-ups.
He could do some sit-ups. No, that's not nice.
That's so disrespectful.
That joke's from Ray Pratt. Actually, my friend Ray Pratt texted me that joke after he showed me this picture. What? I'm like, look at this guy. It's amazing. He's like, could those arms help him do some sit-ups?
You mean push-ups?
Something. God bless him.
I can't deal with you.
Anyway, it's excellent technology. So there's that. Right. So now let's transition back into this Sony hack situation. There's so many things to talk about in terms of the Sony hack. The first thing is we have news, which we didn't have last week, which is
I had it last week.
You didn't have it last week.
I'm the one that said it. No, North Korea didn't do it.
I didn't say North
Yes,
Korea
you did.
I didn't say they didn't do it.
No, they found out that North Korea didn't do it.
Is that a Joe Brazel imitation? That's a good.
Wait, that wasn't Joe talking?
That's like, for those of you on iTunes, that was not me. So it turns out North Korea is behind the hack, is behind the Sony hack. So, the United States has said there will be a response. Now, North Korea made a big fuss about this movie almost being like akin to an act of war, and something will happen. Well, something did happen. They're taking down Sony. They're really taking down Sony. In fact, the Guardians of Peace, as I've already announced, that there will be a Christmas surprise.
Exactly.
So we'll see what that is. But
I have to say this: like I can't be mad at that position though, because if another country were to do a movie where a living sitting president was assassinated, like, I think
we're coming to get Obama and hang him.
Exactly. People would be in an uproar. So I mean, from that perspective, like looking at it balanced and fair, I mean, I think the people could be upset about it. Like they love their leader, that's their culture, whatever it is that we here in America agree to or don't agree to, but that's their culture.
Yeah, that's
their leader. So for their leader to be made a buffoon, like I'm sure it hit a sore spot for him.
Well, it's interesting that Sony did. They went after Sony and not after America. They said, look, Sony put this out. We're going to take down this corporation. And they're doing a pretty good job of I'll say taking Sony down, but they definitely done some damage here.
Severe damage.
But it got a little real when Sony, the Sony had always planned to release the movie. It was never like going to be pulled. But then there was some threats that sort of came out. Like the Guardians of Peace sort of went against their name and was saying things like "Remember 9/11" and things are going to happen at these theaters. And so one by one, all the major cinema chains, Cinemamark, AMC,
we don't want to play the movie.
They all started like pulling the movie, which then prompted Sony to say, well, we're going to pull the movie because, and look, and this is just my side note on this is I don't think Sony was doing a noble thing or a cowardly thing. Like Sony's driven by dollars and cents.
That's it.
They pulled the movie because they had nowhere to show it.
Exactly.
Like they did, like literally, if anyone, AMC said, well, we'll still play it. If any one theater chain said that they'll play it, this movie will be playing. Exactly. It wasn't about, the movie needs it. It's all about dollars and cents. They want a wide release. They want this movie out. So that was their way of sort of saying we have nowhere to pull it. And that's where them saving face.
For sure.
And then not saying we have nowhere to put this movie because all these theater chains pulled out.
I mean, yeah. But I mean, that's the narrative that they went with. But I think Obama said it's like, okay, there was a bombing at the Boston Marathon. Doesn't mean that the Boston Marathon doesn't go on because, a terrorist threat or a terrorist act, like you still go on, you still live your life. And I think by, consenting to, them saying they're going to do whatever, like it gives them power, and it cites it as an example for others to use it. Like, well, okay, well, if we could bring down a company just by declaring words, like we're going to do this, like imagine what the next step is.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I mean, Putin's got to be laughing, drunk and some vodka laughing at us right now. But no, but this is kind of speaks to the heart of what terrorism is, right? I mean, the act of terror is, the whole tactic of terror is to sort of disrupt the other person's way of life, way of thinking, so to make them change their thing. You do small, so you presumably small things with large ripple effects.
Yep.
That's what terrorism is. It's not just war. We're not like when you nuke somebody, that's not terrorism.
Right.
When you drop a bomb, that's not terrorism. Terrorism is these small things, and so this is exactly the desired effect, and Sony gave it to them, which I really disagree with the fact that they did do that. And I think that there's been a lot of via Twitter and otherwise a lot of Hollywood and beyond have been speaking out about Sony doing this. Man, Sony is not doing well. They're not coming out well in this. Between the Rudin emails and the on
all sides, all fronts, like they're doing bad. I mean, I feel like in terms of like the freedom of speech argument, in terms of artists, creatives, having to silence their creative piece of work because of this. I think that says a lot. Like Obama said, what's next? Is it a documentary? Is it a news story?
Yeah.
Like what's next? Like who's to say that the whatever the next group is gonna be like, well, I don't like you, Joe Braswell and Geek.Nerd.Tech, so whatever.
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, of course, Obama's not going to come out on the side of Amy Pascal after she talked all that ish about him on the emails. So Obama's like not exactly going to be Sony Amy's best friend. But yeah, I mean, I think he's right here. A bunch of questions for you. Like, what do you think is going to happen to Amy Pascal? What do you think should happen to Amy? Anything?
I mean, I think at the top of the year they're going to make some executive changes. I think someone I think someone is going to replace her.
So you think she loses her job?
I think she'll be demoted or fired or something.
Is she fired because this whole thing sort of happened on her watch, or is she fired for the deflammatory, all the things she said?
A combination of both. I don't think you can really separate the two.
Right.
Like, I think, we talked about this last week. When you're in a leadership position, like you can have your opinion, but don't use the avenues of your company to communicate your opinions. If they're a joke, if they're serious, like you have to own that. So these are the consequences that in the world that we live in. Like when you speak your mind through these avenues, like there's consequences. And so you want to say it's a joke now because it's out, but come on, like you. Keeping it 100, like you're using a company email to make jokes like that. That's inappropriate.
Right. Yeah, but keeping it 100, it's just like the sexual pictures that got out. It's a leak of privacy, and news corporations should not be reporting it and spreading news that is private emails between two parties.
Why shouldn't
well, hold on. That's the next question. I'm gonna ask that question. That's a good point, Stephen the Muse. The other tier of this, the other point of discussion here, the debate is sort of like, so these are private. Like there's a big section of our news media, whether it's BuzzFeed on the internet side, or even the Variety and Hollywood Reporter. Hollywood Reporter has been all over this. Kim Masters has been all over this story. Or whether it's we're talking about like NBC, other corporations who are reveling in this. This story's been reported on like very sort of like voraciously, the people wanting this information, and people can't get enough. Like, these are characters in a movie, but these are actually real people. And more importantly, it's one thing to talk about the Scott Rudins and Amy Pascals of the world, and the Aaron Sorkins and all those people, but what about the thousands of employees, my good friend Bonnie as well, who got their information just plastered on the world? There's so many people. This is like Jack in accounting who didn't ask for any of this. This is people's lives. So what is the responsibility the question is, what is the responsibility of the news media here in covering this story?
I think the responsibility of the news media is to always be truthful. It's to report what is. They're reporting what is. Right. Like, and you let the people decide. You let the people make a determination of what they think about it.
But can't you just say, wow, North Korea hacked Sony, and there's a lot of private information on the internet. That's weird. Or you can be like, guess what they said?
But the role of a news organization is to do research at a high level, and you're supposed to provide that to the people.
Right.
Like, that's the point of news organizations.
Right. I mean, Stephen, how do you come down on this?
Okay, so let's say in the case of a search warrant, all right, somebody goes and obtains evidence that you murdered somebody, Joe Braswell, by breaking into your house and finding evidence. Okay, well, because of the Constitution, you cannot be held accountable for that evidence. It's thrown out of court because it was obtained illegally. Right. Correct? All right, well, let's say somebody is sending emails that says something like they hate a coworker, or not like hate a coworker, but let's say people are fired for these emails. Right. These emails were not attained through the proper means of attaining them.
Okay, so no Watergate then. There's so many
examples, but at the same time, it's the same. I'm not saying that it's illegal what they're doing. I'm just saying it's the same case as. It's hypocritical for the same people to be like, oh, you shouldn't look at the photos of Jennifer Lawrence. Oh, you shouldn't look at the photos of these celebrities who are naked because they were leaked from a hack. And then the same people are going like, oh, look at this article. Oh, this person at Sony, his email was leaked and it showed that he's a racist. Blah 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 blah. It's like, it's hypocritical to go both sides like that.
I agree.
I don't agree, because we live in a technological world, and where things can be hacked. Like, so, and if it's information that's being hacked, and so
pictures are information too.
Absolutely.
So you're saying I'm not calling you a hypocrite if you're saying that it's just the same as the photos being leaked.
Wait, one more time.
In other words, is it the same thing as the Jennifer Lawrence photos being leaked? Like, someone hacked in that,
yes,
and they put them up there.
Yeah, it's the same thing. Okay, yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you on that.
I'm saying it's hypocritical for the people who say that the photos being leaked
I hear what you're saying.
is bad, but this is fine. Yeah.
I hear that.
Because it's the same as if let's say a head of Sony emailed a naked picture of himself to another head of Sony, and that got leaked. It's the same thing. It's all information.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so, but I guess what is the responsibility of the news media in terms of being able to report on this stuff? I mean, is it enough to say, hey, it's on the website, go check it out yourself, or is it like this whole like sort of
when you ask that question, so it's a fine line.
What Scott Rudin said?
What are they supposed to report?
Guess what Aaron Sorkin said?
What are they supposed to report? How is it supposed to be reported?
I think it's sad that we live in an age when the news aren't reporting on the event, but they're reporting on specifics inside of it. Because if you look at it like the event, yes, report on the fact that Sony was hacked and information got leaked. But the fact that the headline news is a head of Sony called Angelina Jolie a spoiled brat.
Right. But what's the role of an investigative reporter? To go deep, to get the facts, the information.
132 children were murdered the other day, and we're reporting on a goddamn Sony leak.
I don't disagree with that. I don't disagree with what you're saying. I agree with you in terms of what gets precedence in the media, what gets reported consistently and over, what's get shoved down our throats and minds. I understand that, but I'm just saying, like, it's still information that people want to know about.
But this is actually like not, and I agree with you. I agree with both of you on this, but I think that this speaks to like even the larger issue of like at a certain point, we're not going to be able to be spoon fed what's the most important story. So you know, we're gonna the 132 kids being murdered, whatever's going down in civil unrest in New York based on the protests versus Angelina Jolie's a brat. That's all gonna be fed to us at the same time. Now, if we're talking about traditional news where Walter Cronkite or Dan Rather or someone else or Peter Jennings, I'm really dating myself, Brian Williams is saying like, our top story tonight, Angelina Jolie, you know, that's a problem. But I think we're headed towards a society where it's just going to be out there, and it's going to be up to us to find out what our top story is. And
that's what I'm saying. You determine what news outlet you want to get your information from.
Right.
Like, there's a huge difference between Fox News and MSNBC or Democracy Now! and whatever,
or BuzzFeed and CNN, or well, I mean, not so much BuzzFeed and CNN, but BuzzFeed maybe like Al Jazeera. So okay, I get it. Well, the one thing that did come out of the Sony leak that was interesting, well, a lot of things interesting, but that was sort of unexpected, is there's this Snapchat. The CEO of Snapchat was talking about coming up with something to compete with Google Glass. Did you read that?
Yeah.
Like, what's
it's this startup company called Vengeance Labs, and essentially they've made, you know, eyewear technology that's very similar to Google Glass, but the difference is that it's a little bit more stylish. It doesn't have all the cool stuff that Google Glass has. It has some technology where you're able to take some HD video, snap some photos, and upload them to the cloud. But it doesn't have like all the advantages or all the technology that a Google Glass has. However, the advantage or the difference is that it looks a little bit cooler.
Right.
So that's the difference.
Snapchat, huh?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, that's interesting. That came from the Sony leak, so that we have that to look forward to,
right?
At least. All right. Well, shifting gears dramatically, let's talk about some year-end stuff. I just want to run through some of the top video games. There's been some lists have come out. What are the best video games of the year? My pick, my personal pick actually is I'm really loving. I love Destiny. I love Call of Duty. If Alexis are here, she can talk about Destiny. But I'm really
play Destiny.
You like Destiny?
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm gonna go play it tonight.
Oh, good. I'm really in love with it. I'm like, it's a deep dive. You're a PS4 guy, right?
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, we can't.
I'm gonna mess Crota up, man.
Destiny, which did not make this list, however, is fantastic. But this list on The Verge talks about Far Cry 4, which people really like. I haven't played that. Have you played Far Cry 4, Steven?
I haven't. I'm really tempted to buy it for Christmas, though.
Okay, because Far Cry 3 was good. Far Cry 4, you know, it's supposed to be good. Diablo 3 people are loving. It's more of a PC game. Mario Kart 8, which you can't go wrong with Mario Kart. Titanfall people are really loving, which is still good. It's really cheap right now, actually. Titanfall's like $20 right now if you want to go buy it, like brand new. It's like $20. Dark Souls 2 people are loving, and then a Dragon Age, which my friends are playing the heck out of right now. You play Dragon Age?
No, I don't have time.
You gotta
sink days in it.
Yeah, I know. God, I don't. I mean, like, Destiny's enough. Destiny's like, you know, is really you can you know, you can play it like a shooter, or you can go deep. Right. You know, so but I'm really loving. I'm really actually looking forward to this Grand Theft Auto heist online thing, which is good. And we talked a lot about Grand Theft Auto 5 last year. It's back next gen. Same storyline, same everything next gen for both PC, PS4 and Xbox One. But they've come up with this new thing called the heist, which allows all of us online to sort of go like and build a crew and actually go do heists together using your skills, my skills, Steven's skills. Right. That's something I've been teasing for almost about 8 months that was going to come out, but they said that it took a little longer than they expected to get it together. Right. Because it's a little more trickier than they thought, but it's finally here, and I'm looking forward to that. So
I want to put out a new argument for you guys.
Yes.
Here's a gaming topic.
Yep.
What do you think of them releasing games that are unfinished and then charging for DLC to finish the game? Because what's becoming more and more acceptable in the gaming industry, but pissing a lot of people off, is games like Assassin's Creed Unity, where the day one update has been up to 7 gigabytes just to fix the problems of the game, because the producers are telling them to get the game out, and they end up selling an unfinished cut.
Yeah, this is kind of one of those age-old problems of it happens in movies, it happens in the record industry, but in the video game world, it's a real problem, because like you said, it happened to the iPhone 6, but you set a release date and expectations are high. You have literally a $150 to $200 million game that's supposed to come out on a massive title like Assassin's Creed or Halo 5, which is coming, all these other ones, and if it doesn't drop on that day, people are going to be pissed. pissed. So
Super
they
pissed.
drop it. But if it drops and it's not finished, people are pissed.
Yeah.
So I don't, but I think it's, first of all, I think it's horrible, Steven. But I think that you're really faced with no choice. I mean, number one, you got to get that money. Those day one and night before midnight sales are when you make like really the bulk of your money. You hear all this like $1 billion on night one, but also that's because with video games, once they're released, people buy them, consume them,
they're gonna buy them regardless,
and trade them.
Yeah.
So like it's really that first week, and so I think it's totally crappy, totally shitty practice. But I feel like that's going to become the norm because we know that people know that people are going to buy them anyway.
Exactly. I was going to say exactly that. It's the practice. It's the norm because like people are always going to be excited about the new game. That excitement, that anticipation,
right.
Like the marketing, up until that date point, like it's going to draw people in to buy the game. So they're going to use that to their advantage, regardless if the game's finished or not. Like they'll be able to come up with another game. So it's not like the fans are like, I'm never going to buy a video game from that company again. Yeah. It won't happen.
Yeah, I agree. So we'll see. And last but not least, let's talk about movies. 2015, the year of the tentpole. A bunch of movies coming out. Let's just take this opportunity. It's a giant list of movies. I mean, I don't even we done this before, but they get bigger. It seems like as we get closer. Avengers 2, Age of Ultron, Ant-Man, Star Wars Episode 7, Jurassic Park 4, Warcraft the game, Bond 24, Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Who wants to do that? Terminator, Independence Day 2, with your boy Will Smith. I'm sorry.
Is he even going to be in it?
I don't know. I'm assuming. Hunger Games, Mockingjay Part 2, Finding Dory, which is a Finding Nemo sequel which I'm looking forward to. Assassin's Creed, the film. Fantastic Four, the film. Inferno, the Da Vinci Code threequel.
That's cool.
So I wonder if that's got to be Hanks, right? Oh, he's got to be in there.
Has to be.
And then Kung Fu Panda 3, which I thought 2 was one of my favorite movies. It's a great movie. Alvin Chipmunks 3 and 4 and Cinderella. Wow, that's a big year for all these tentpole films. I mean,
that's at least 15 films.
Is there enough room in the summer? There's only 3 months in the summer.
Of course, there's enough room.
I mean, that's only 12 weeks. We got like 15 movies in 12 weeks. Someone's not gonna make it.
Yeah, somebody's gonna get knocked down.
Someone's got to get pushed to like April, May. Yeah. I mean, I guess I don't know. Look, I got nothing. I think that I'm excited for about 2/3 of these. Yeah. Some more than others. I really hope the Terminator is good, but I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
Independence Day 2, no.
Star Wars.
Star Wars is probably my number one.
Hunger Games.
Hunger Games. I mean, I'm just really upset by that they split it into 2. I know it's going to be good, but I just wish they just gave it to me in one 3-hour movie instead of splitting it in 2. But whatever.
James Bond. That's my top.
But of course, the Sony leak says, Amy Pascal says that script is terrible. Yeah. Somebody says the script is bad, but I think it'll be good. All right, well, that's it. We have lots to look forward to.
Movies,
yes.
Go see.
What have you seen?
Selma.
Oh,
excellent.
Oh, you saw it already?
I saw it. Saw a screening.
Oh, look at you, Mr. Screening.
It's excellent.
I really want this to be good.
It's excellent.
Okay, good. I want to see it. Oh, good. That's a good look. Okay.
It's not like The Butler at all.
Please don't let it be like The Butler. The Butler was whack.
I wouldn't say it's whack.
I say it's whack.
It's not whack, but this one is excellent.
Okay. I'll say Butler was in hindsight, I think The Butler was whack. At the time, I was like, it's all right. Now I'm mad at The Butler. Okay, good. Well, that's it for 2014. We'll see you next year, 2015. Where can we find you, Akili?
You can find me at Akili Shine on Instagram and Twitter. What about you, man? Where you at?
I'm at Twitter and Instagram, at Joe K. Braswell. Been a wonderful year. Thank you so much. We will be back in 2015 with more Geek.Nerd.Tech. Cheers to you.
From producers Maria Menounos, Dario Kristen, Tiana Hobson, Kevin Undergaro, and the entire BHL crew, we would like to thank you for supporting Black Hollywood Live, the first online broadcast network dedicated to African American entertainment. For questions and comments, contact us at info@blackhollywoodlive.com. Like us on Facebook, tweet us, or Instagram us at BHL Online. And I'm your BHL announcer, Scipio. Instagram me at Planet Scipio. Thank you for tuning in.
Hollywood redefined.
The views expressed here are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of BHL or its owners or principals.